All right, it says we are live, so I'm just gonna, do that thing where I assume that we're live. So, welcome everybody to the newest edition of the 4GwQPodcast podcast. This is episode number 166 for March 29th, 2018. Sorry we don't have our overlay going on. I'm actually like sweating over the anxiety that my computer is fucked, but we're gonna deal with that after the podcast because just got home from work and my computer was off, and I usually put it on sleep mode and try to boot this shit up, and it wouldn't boot up. It kept boot looping, and I'm gonna flash new BIOS on my motherboard after the podcast because I think it just updated automatically for some reason. But lo and behold, we are here. We're still gonna do the podcast. We're not gonna let that get in the way. Of course, I'm Inferno217. We've got the other suspects here, a -1, which we'll get to in a second, but making his 166th straight appearance, is EPCI Assassin. What's going on?
Yo, what's up? I should say R.
That's right. Gonna be talking about some Sea of Thieves tonight for sure. No doubt. Last but not least, we got Italian Clowns, who is absolutely fired up at the moment about a couple different things. One very positive, one very negative. So we'll get to both of those opinions tonight on the show. What's going on, Clowns?
Hey, what's up? And I hope everybody out there in YouTube land is not drinking the cult Kool-Aid. That's all I got to say.
They have their own brand of Kool-Aid?
Maybe.
Yes, in Hope County, was it Montana? I think it is.
Yes,
Hope County, everybody Montana looks the same but has different colored shirts.
There you go. That's just the definition of a cult these days, isn't it? What did you say, Assassin? Sorry, I missed that, bud.
So maybe they're cousins.
Probably. I mean,
from Wisconsin.
From Wisconsin, potentially migrated to Montana. Montana's probably what? Like 10 hours from you, Assassin?
No. I think by 10 hours you would hit Minnesota.
Really? Wow, it's really that far away. I have no sense of space. After playing the crew, it feels like you can get from Wisconsin to Montana in like 5 minutes. You know what I mean? So it's just
represent Wisconsin on the crew.
Do they not?
Here's something about the crew. You can drive everywhere in the world except to get your money back from Far Cry 5.
Well, clearly we're going to talk a little bit about Far Cry 5. I'm not going to get too deep into it because I don't have the game. I haven't played the game, but we'll hear what these guys have to say about it a little bit. Definitely we'll talk about Sea of Thieves. These guys have been playing it a ton. I've been playing it a good amount as well. We'll have for a minute. And we'll get into what that's like a week later. Like we've been suggested in the chat, 5 days after it launched, it already had maybe even 4 days after, it had 2 million unique players. And we'll get into the discussion on whether or not that really is a good thing or whether that's marketing fluff and how we're enjoying the game. But one thing that's not marketing fluff is it is the fastest, best-selling, first party IP on the Xbox One so far. So that's undoubtedly a success, and streamer numbers are pretty high even to this day. So successful on both of those regards, but we'll get into that. Also get into Games of Gold versus PS Plus this month, and spoiler alert a little bit. PS Plus finally loses a month, I think, but we'll get into what the other guys think about that. No Man's Sky, I guess, coming to Xbox. Now all of a sudden everyone's on the No Man's Sky train. I'm still not a huge fan of it. Probably won't pick it up, but we'll see. We'll see what the price is like, but looks like they're going to get a huge update before coming to Xbox, and it's going to be X enhanced, 4K, HDR, the whole bit. It'll probably look gorgeous, but yeah, I'm not so willing to flip-flop like a lot of people on Twitter today have been flip-flopping. And a couple more topics we'll get into. Some controversy over policy changes for Xbox Live. But before we go on, I did realize that I didn't give a nod to Taylor, who obviously wasn't on the last podcast because we had a special guest, and she missed a couple podcasts ago because of school, and then decided that school was going to be, a little bit too much. And, now that she's left the podcast as a permanent member, she'll be back as a guest every once in a while. And, we thank her for being with us for a couple years, doing the show. week in and week out. But she has decided to leave, and I'm sorry we didn't announce that sooner, but we had a guest last week and didn't feel it was right to do it then. But, obviously we're going to have her on, especially against every once in a while. If there's like any Smite news, we're definitely going to have her on. So, but yeah, anyway, right into the news. Man, I want to start with a positive note. So let's get into Sea of Thieves really quick. 2 million unique players. Granted, some of those are probably Games Pass, and a lot of those are probably, Games Pass trials. But nonetheless, a lot of people playing the game, a lot of people streaming, a lot of people talking about the game. A lot of positive, a lot of negative as well, though. So Metacritic score now, a week later, is like, 70, 69, something around there. So not great in the eyes of many critics, but not terrible either. And these guys have been playing it a ton. So I want to go ahead and let Sasson go first on this. Sasson, what do you think? It's been a week or so later, and you guys have been playing a ton of it. What do you have any new thoughts or anything new to share about the game?
So I'm still loving the game as much as of a grind it is. Waking up every morning, seeing Clowns is on, playing, sailing the 7 seas or just the same sea. Crap Gamer will join us, some other people will join us, just having a blast. Losing a bunch of stuff, attacking other people, making them lose a bunch of stuff, earning a bunch of money. I mean, it's all fun. There's a few things I wish that they would, still have, like a brightness slider or HDR slider. Some games have these days. And then, what was it? The ship lady person that sells those sails and stuff. I wish Rare would have added, like, just plain colors. Like, if you wanted a black hull, like, have black. Have, a purple or a pink or whatever. Don't have, like, these random reds and blues and browns and all this other stuff. Like, I don't want that. I just want black. I want a black sail and a black ship. That's all I want.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be like, the Black Pearl from the Pirates of the Caribbean. I really like that ship, and I want to put that in the game, and I can't. So I'm a little sad.
Yeah, the customization options that they have right now are like really difficult to achieve. I mean, there's a lot of gold that you're gonna have to grind for, and you rarely, if ever. I mean, me personally, I've never seen a custom ship on the ocean yet, and it's 9 days later or whatever it is, and I haven't seen any custom ships whatsoever. And there is a guy that I guess Kotaku just released an article earlier today about this guy that I guess maybe the first one that got to max rank. And I mean, that is a lot of grinding, right? So,
well, I mean, we don't know this for sure, but Clowns and I have been like talking, and we don't think this guy's legit.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, never mind on that then.
Because, I mean, Clowns and I have put so many hours into the game. I know we've probably been goofing off, probably a good amount. But, like, I just hit 25 for one of mine. The others are 20. And we've been, like, grinding out a lot. Clowns more than me. And he's just a little bit ahead of me. So I don't know if hitting 50 on all of them is kind of legit. I don't want to, like, say this guy's hacking or whatever, but I don't. I mean, we'll talk about that issue later on, but yeah, I don't know if it's legit.
David SNC in the chat says he's a streamer. His viewers invited him to parties, and then they just sell stuff so that he can rank up quickly. Like they'll invite him into a group. Say that they had a group of 4, right? And then there was somebody went vacant, and then he would join the game, and they would sell so that he would get the rep, and then he'd leave, lather, rinse, repeat, like your favorite shampoo, right? But I mean, I think if that's the case, I think max rank is achievable, but just judging by how much I know Clowns has been playing, obviously it's not 24 hours a day, but it's quite a bit of the day, and Clowns, I'll let you speak to that for sure. I think that, for somebody to be max rank when Clowns, as far as I know, isn't even like 80% of the way there. I mean, that would be pretty insane.
Yeah, I just think that it's kind of weird that he's so far up, and I guess maybe it makes sense if he's got a lot of viewers and all these people are constantly saying, "Hey, come and hearing why stuff, but that defeats the purpose of the game. And as a streamer, he should be ashamed of himself. And, he shouldn't get any credit for that. If you're going to stream this kind of game, you want to do that grind to show your viewers what it's like to grind. I mean, you can't just hop in. If you're an average player, you're not just going to be able to hop in a whole bunch of games and do that. So I think that's kind of wrong and misleading. The game is about the grind. It's about solving the riddles. It's about, fending off on the high seas and defeating other ships, trying to get your ship to the outpost. So there's so much to this game, even though, I will agree with some people out there that say that it could use content, and I agree with that. But at the end of the day, this is the base of the game, and they're going to be continuing to build more. And this streamer just took advantage of a opportunity.
Right. Definitely not representative of normal gameplay the way this guy has been getting it, because David S says in the chat that it's in the article. I did just check out the article just now on my computer, and yeah, I mean, it says that this guy did and this is a quote, did receive help from viewers who farmed treasure for him before he joined their crew so he could turn in the loot for reputation boosts. Like, for that to happen, you would have to have a ton of friends that would be willing to do that. Essentially, friends that do your bitch work, to put it frankly. And that's not representative. So, Clowns, what level are you at right now for your factions?
I am like 27, 24, and 24.
Yeah, 27, 24, 24 for a guy who plays like, at least 7-8 hours a day, I would say, for the past, week or so. I mean, it's going to be a long time before a lot of these people hit max rank, and there is a ton of stuff to do. It's just extremely repetitive. So that knock on it is not going to go away. Whether you like the repetitive nature, whether you like the grind, makes or breaks this game for you. If you don't like the grind and you've tried it out now, you've had a week to try it out for yourselves, especially the Game Pass trial, then it's not for you. But for us, I think I speak for all of us, but I'll let these guys obviously put in their own 2 cents. I think the grind is fun and engaging, and it's a lot of fun to play with your friends, and it's a very unique form of cooperative play that you just don't get anywhere else. And for that, it has merit to have my purchase, to be honest.
Yeah, well, there's one grind ruining thing. I brought this up before, but the hackers, I mean, it kind of just ruins the game at one point. Like, you'll run into someone, you'll have chests, or you have a fort, and someone's like, "Hi, yeah, you can't destroy our ship. Let's just kill yours and take all your stuff," and then harass you.
Right. And that's been acknowledged, thankfully. I mean, I'm not gonna say, the thing with the crossplay, like, a lot of people complain about the crossplay. They want to be able to tick off some sort of setting, similar to Fortnite, to, make it so you don't connect with PC players and what have you. And I'm not gonna lie, I primarily play on PC for Sea of Thieves, and because I prefer, the higher frame rate, and the control scheme is natural to me on it. But it gets to a point where even if it's crossplay, even if your intentions were like Xbox first, PC second on this game, you have to follow the lead of the industry in the PC space and release like some sort of cheat preventative nature. Like Fortnite has it. Every time you launch Fortnite on the PC, it asks you, it tells you it's launching the anti-cheat. Every time you launch Counter-Strike, you have to launch the anti-cheat. And obviously, Sea of Thieves, that was kind of like a afterthought, or, they didn't even consider it really, because, it was definitely Xbox first, PC second, no doubt about it. But, you have to come in prepared, and it's ruining the game for a lot of people. And a lot of people will call bullshit, but I mean, it's been reported. They've acknowledged it, as far as I know. They've directly acknowledged it. It's not even like one of those things where you try to skirt around the issue. I mean, they've directly responded to it on Twitter. So, yeah, the hacking is very annoying, especially with how rewarding it is when you like actually takes down a ship. Like, how cool it feels to do it. when you're
Yep.
especially in a galleon, and then you can't do it. Like, it's just so aggravating.
Or I love those moments where you see someone like one's on like on a sloop, and then there's like a bunch of water between your sloop and theirs, and they hit you with like just one little bullet from their blunderbuss into the foot, and you die full health. I just so annoying.
Yep. And like some of these guys are able to run around and not be killed, like not even just the ships, but actual human players. And when you have weapons that can one-shot you in Sea of Thieves and you notice that kind of stuff, that just feeds into the atmosphere that's being created online right now. The crossplay is overall bad. We have in the chat people talking about, crossplay makes it better because, low population regions get more people, and, you get lower lag and, what have you, because you're not connecting console to console necessarily, dedicated servers, which isn't necessarily, predicated on the fact that it's on PC, but a lot of people, on PC have lower lag, and on PC they, people, I would say that from what I've seen, like at least a third of the people playing are on PC, at least. And if you take that third away, that 2 million number looks a lot less attractive. It's lower than 1.5, if my math is correct. But yeah, it's like a 1.3. 1.3 million doesn't look as good as 2 million. So I mean, that's an achievement for people that worked on this game, and for Microsoft to have a game with 2 million versus 1.3. Like, PC is good, but I mean, you just have to institute some sort of anti-cheat,
Yep. It's so irritating. You'd think that they would have figured this out. Looked at like Siege, they had to like upgrade because so many hackers. PUBG articles coming out that they lost like 1 million players or whatever because of cheating. Like, you have to figure this out and not launch a game without it.
Yep. I mean, Fortnite, like, look at Fortnite, right? I don't mean to be, to bring up the Fortnite versus PUBG thing again, but look at Fortnite. Like, Fortnite, you launch that shit. Epic has that handled. Yes, they're a bigger company than Bluehole. Yes, they have more experience with this kind of thing. So, anti-cheat was obviously one of their first concerns, and you rarely see anything about Fortnite cheating. Rarely.
Nope.
And then people are talking left and right about PUBG cheating, speed hacks, invisibility hacks, this, that, the other thing. Same thing with H1Z1. There were hacks where, I mean, you can look this stuff up if you don't believe us. There were these hacks that you could like see where every single person was on the map. Same thing on PUBG and what gun they were wielding at the time. Like, you just don't see that on Fortnite or polished titles. And Sea of Thieves, coming from Rare, coming from the direct backing of Microsoft, you'd think that kind of backing would make it so that, there would be anti-cheat, but I guess not.
Yep.
Well, I don't think you'll ever get rid of cheaters on the PC. They're always going to find a way to hide the windows that cause or enable the cheats.
Right.
There should be, like what everybody has mentioned already, like an option to turn off PC crossplay. I will say, though, that since the servers have been rebooted and refreshed, there's been less hackers that we run into. Mm-hmm. So I think that they have, known people now on a list or something that they're going down and getting rid of people. Right. The problem is, though, that people can just make new accounts through the Xbox Live system, like, silver accounts, turn it to gold for a month, buy the cheats again or whatever, and just go back on the PC on these fake accounts. And they're not going to care if those get banned.
Right. There's just gonna be ways to get around it, and there are ways to get around it in all these games, like you said. I mean, it's never gonna stop, but it's like people look at crossplay games, and I feel like when they look at crossplay games, they like have more of a reason to cheat, if that makes sense. Like it's like, okay, we're already playing against lesser competition, quote unquote, on console. Like, we're in the minority of players because PC players are definitely the minority of players in Sea of Thieves. Let's see what we can get away with, that kind of thing. And you'd think that a game with like no like forward facing rank or anything. Wow, Assassin, what's going on over there?
What?
We just heard you make a lot of movement or something.
Yeah.
What? My phone went off. I grabbed my phone. I muted it, but I didn't.
The mute never worked.
Noise.
Oh yeah.
No, I muted my phone. Like, I just muted it. Like, there's nothing going on here.
Everybody, Assassin was grabbing his phone because Sea of Thieves is such a hit. He can't stop tweeting about it.
Right, exactly. But anyway, like, this game is obviously a hit, and that's why people are cheating. And like, they're not cheating to necessarily get max rank or like to prove that they're better or anything like that. Like, you know, because there's nothing forward facing about this game that has rank. Like, how do you even determine rank? You know, like by your clothes. You know, otherwise you can't even like walk up to someone and inspect them. Like in Destiny, right? Obviously, there was the number above, like next to their gamer tag or their name that show their rank, but you could walk up to someone and inspect them and see what kind of weapons they have and what kind of gear, and that's how you like were a badass. You're walking around the tower and you got inspected, and people saw that you had all this legendary gear, and you're like, oh shit, like that guy's a badass. But in this game, like, you don't just know how much these outfits cost. You know what I mean? You don't see people and just know, like, even if these people cheated and had access to all the outfits or something like that, or like had speed hacks and could do all the quests or whatever, and got these outfits, like, how do you even know that they are good? You know what I mean? It's like, why would, it's almost like maybe Rare thought, why would people cheat in this game in the first place? Like, what's the point?
You know, I think the bigger question here is that Microsoft itself as a company touted that Windows 10 was so secure and that their UWP is so amazing and everything's like, you know, in a hyper state or whatever it's called, hyper visual or hypervised. I don't know what Windows calls it. Basically, like terminally emulated or something. And they're like, yeah, it's so secure. It's, you know, blah, blah, blah. And here you go. Cheat companies have already bypassed their security on Windows 10, used UWP. So Microsoft needs to go back to drawing board and see what they did wrong. It's not Rare's fault. It's not Xbox's fault. This is Microsoft's fault in the Windows 10 development department.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you know, there are companies that maybe rely on that a little too heavily. You know, like Microsoft may be pushing to some of these companies that their shit is more secure than it actually is, and they've been telling the security game. But like, you know, you almost want to like double check that, if you will, or like back that up. Like I feel like, even though Windows 10 should be more secure and they say it's more secure, I feel like these devs should like have some sort of anti-cheat in place, you know, just to make sure. But like a game like this, like, yeah, it's you know, it's definitely more than Microsoft's fault than Rare's fault, because this is a new space for Rare for sure. And Microsoft obviously knows that this kind of shit occurs because it happens on their platform, and it happens on Steam, and it happens on Uplay, it happens on whatever, right? It happens on Battle.net. So they know it happens. Like, it's an operating system failure. So maybe, you know, Microsoft should have been like the one that said, hey, Rare, like, you know, what is your plan for anti-cheat? Should we come up with a plan? Like, should we make sure as Microsoft, as a company, that there is an anti-cheat in place, so you guys don't have to worry about that because you guys are new into this space? Like, I don't know exactly how it would work, but they should have had something, you know?
Yep.
Well, this is what I feel like happens, and I might be wrong, but this is what I feel like happens. I feel like Microsoft developed Windows 10, and they went to Xbox and said, hey, we want to make everything like Windows 10, like we want to incorporate the Xbox store into the Windows store. And Xbox is like probably like, okay, is it secure? Is it secure than the way we used to do DRM? And Windows is probably like, oh yeah, UWP is so secure. We got this thing on lockdown. So they probably touted this to Xbox. And then when Rare is making their game, Xbox goes to Rare and probably says, hey, you know, we're using UWP for crossplay. It's so secure because Microsoft told us that.
Right.
So yeah. Rare's already probably thinking, you know, well, Microsoft can see invisible windows. They can see all these things like child windows and all that stuff. So if they could see it, then people can't load cheats, and obviously these people made invisible windows work.
Right. Yeah, it sucks. And I mean, it ruins a little bit of the experience of Sea of Thieves, because like Sea of Thieves is one of those games, and this is what a lot of people don't like about it. But like I said, we do like about it. It's one of those games where you do have to grind. I mean, you do have to make an effort to travel to places, to, travel overseas to, it takes like 10 minutes sometimes to get to islands, sometimes even more. And, when you're putting in that kind of effort just to get to the place, and then you get there and you get fucked up by somebody who's cheating, that just pisses you off even more. And you just seen it too many times in this game. You just seen it too many times in this game. And people will say, oh, it's easier to aim with PC. The combat's maybe dumbed down a little bit. Like, that's, PC players have an advantage because, blunderbuss is a one-shotter and you can aim so easily. And, the gunplay is too dumbed down or whatever. But that's not even what people are complaining about with the cheating. People are complaining about the invincibility, the travel hacks, the unlocking shit, the preventing them from being killed. Not even the fact that they're overpowered. You know what I mean? It's not even like a lot of people are complaining about, oh, I got one-shotted by like somebody's sword or whatever. You know what I mean? People aren't really complaining about that. But it's about invincibility. It's about not being able to be killed, and that's part of this game. That's a huge part of this game. So I don't know.
And
go ahead, Clown. Go ahead.
There's one other thing I want to say though. Despite all the negative press this game is getting, right, like the cheats and all these naysayers out there, like, oh, this game isn't good, it lacks content. Aaron Greenberg dropped the bomb, Inferno, and I think we've all seen those tweets. Is that it's the fastest new selling IP this generation.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's big.
Huge news, guys. So despite all these negative sayers like Boogie, who was like, oh, I love the game, I love the mechanics, and then later on in the same video he goes, oh, well, I don't like this about the game, blah blah blah, games as a service is dying. I think Rare just showed up with some numbers to tell them where to go.
Yep, it's true. And I mean, you can't deny that these numbers that Microsoft has confirmed that these numbers don't include Games Pass for the fastest selling. Now, the 2 million players may include the Games Pass, but the fastest selling stat is not including Games Pass. So it's still a huge success. Like, it's still a huge success, whether you want to complain or not. And it's just big. It's just big news. It's so popular. People complaining about having no content. Well, it still streams extremely well. I mean, it may not be the number 2 game on there, but it still streams extremely well on Twitch, Mixer, what have you. People are still talking about it. People are theorizing what they're going to do, what kind of content's going to come. Like, everyone is talking about it still. It's not like one of those. It's not like, No Man's Sky when that launched. People are comparing it. People are trying to say, oh, it's the No Man's Sky of Xbox, before the announcement today. But people were saying that, and it's like, it's not even comparable. It's not even comparable to that. Or like Lawbreakers. Oh, and here comes Lawbreakers again, like a huge hyped up game, and now it's dead, and people are shitting all over it, so it's going to die out. It's not dead. It's still selling really well. So,
and here's the thing. The game's not dead because they're so far behind in messaging on the servers that we still don't have the achievements yet. They had to turn some of them off and slowly drip feed them in because the game is so popular, because so many people are trying to log in at the same time. So many messages are flowing through the system. So if this game was a failure, that would have never occurred.
Right. And overall, and I've talked to a couple of people about this, and I strongly feel about this, is that, yes, when it comes to content, when it comes to stuff that is meaningful, that you earn, that increases your player and makes you stronger for doing quests, it is severely lacking in that. And when it comes to reasons to use your money or reasons to earn money, it's lacking a little bit in that. but the game is gorgeous, and the game is a good framework, is an excellent framework for what's to come. And I know people are saying, "Oh, Xbox people always say that. Xbox people always say, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming." Well, a game like this hasn't been done before. This is a new uncharted territory, and they've proven that they have a successful way of doing it. And that, I think, was the goal of Rare here. Like, this is a game that's completely different than anything else in scale and in complexity and in synchronization, with the water and the cloud compute and all that. And it's so revolutionary in that. And it took them 4 years ish to develop the game. Like, obviously it wasn't going to be like ripe with content, It's not like Far Cry 5, which we'll get to in a second, which obviously had framework of prior releases to build on, and prior games that weren't even like Far Cry 5, like Ghost Recon, right? It had the prior
copy
framework.
and paste.
It had the I don't know if it's that bad, but I see your point. But it had the framework of that, right? It had the framework of all those to work on, and obviously they could get the story down. Like, they built a rich story, whether you like it or not. That's a different story. But they built a rich story. Sea of Thieves didn't have that. Rare didn't have that. Rare doesn't have the acumen to make a game like this. They needed to put all their effort into getting the infrastructure down, because you can have the best story and the best lore and the best items and the best quests and the best this, that, and the other thing. But if your infrastructure doesn't work, the game sucks. I mean, look at Assassin's Creed Unity, right? That game was glitchy as fuck. People were getting crashes, people losing progress left and right. And I've heard a lot of people say the story in Unity is actually really good. Like, they really like it. And you never know that because the game was executed like trash. So
yeah, and just to touch on that point, Inferno, I mean, you're absolutely correct. This was the sandbox, world that they've created, and this is what they wanted to build and put out there, and the content will come. And I was watching a video, I think it's called The Game Now or something, and it's like either associated with GameSpot or IGN, I can't remember, one of them. But they were, they were making jokes about not having content and whatnot. And then they came up with some facts, and they're like, Destiny 1 had a rocky launch with no content. Destiny 2 had a rocky launch with the end game right there in the first 25 minutes. Diablo 3 had a rocky launch. World of Warcraft had a rocky launch. GTA Online had a rocky launch. But all these games are massively successful now with content being added in. And this is what's going to happen with Sea of Thieves. It's a world that is built around the idea that content can drip into the game.
Yep. No, it's true. And I was getting a little bit of hate for bringing up the World of Warcraft thing last week, but World of Warcraft and Sea of Thieves actually have a lot of things in common. And one of them is that they didn't really have predecessors to really set the standard for them and to have the infrastructure already established. They were very new and very revolutionary. And Sea of Thieves, argue all you want, Sea of Thieves is a revolutionary product. I will not let that down. I will argue that to the death. Sea of Thieves is a revolutionary product. It has a lot of revolutionary aspects to it. And you may think, oh, well, 4 guys on a fucking boat sailing across the ocean isn't really revolutionary. Well, I mean, just watch like Digital Foundry's videos, like them or hate them. They point out a lot of good things about, the infrastructure, the graphical prowess, the use of HDR being some of the best in the industry. It's a lot of revolutionary things that are making the game. And it's like very difficult to have a shit ton of content in a game when you're really just like building from the ground up, It's like waiting. It's like if there was no house established and you had to build a house and you expected the inside to be done at the same time as the outside. It's just not going to work out. So people have to like let their expectations down a little bit. I understand Xbox really hyped this thing up, but you gotta really understand what's going on here.
They may have hyped it up, and there's probably a lot of people out there that are disappointed in the content. But you know what's funny? The numbers, Inferno. The numbers tell the truth. And this is how many people want this type of game, and they want it to succeed because they invested in it. So many people went out and got the controllers. They bought the game digitally. They bought the game physically on disc. This game will succeed Mark my words, it's just going to take Rare a little time to get all the content in place, and they're probably going to have years and years of content to come, because this is, a true game as a service, and this is where Phil Spencer wants Xbox to head. This is where Microsoft wants to be in the cloud. So this is just the beginning. I mean, we're not even close to like the next stage of this.
Right. And Rare is, and I don't want to sound like apologetic for Rare and making excuses, but a lot of these past games that have come out and have had no content and have shit the bed, have had people that have lied about their game, have had people that have not talked about what's coming next, and they just put out a game that has a lot of hype and just let it do its thing. A couple examples of that are No Man's Sky, obviously, which we'll get into in a second, and Evolve, right? Because Evolve came out, got like best of E3 when it was coming out, like best of E3 2014 or whatever it was. Game comes out, has like no content, is a big fucking chase fest, is not rewardingly grindy at all. And that game comes out, and 2K essentially lets that game kind of sit in its laurels for too long. It's not really apologetic. It doesn't talk about the future as soon as they should have, and they just let it go. Siege was the exact opposite. Like, that game comes out, a little bit of a disaster. Ubisoft talks about the future. They talk about the seasons. They talk about the content coming. They talk about the roadmap, and people are like, okay, we'll give it a shot. And look at how good that is now, right? Then you got No Man's Sky, with had all this hype. Game comes out, has nothing in it, has essentially no value, procedurally generated levels, no co-op, pretty much impossible to find the same person, or find another person rather. And then, lies about multiplayer, lies about this, lies about that, and nothing is done to correct it until now, seemingly 2 years later, it seems, but we'll get into that in a little bit. But Sea of Thieves is totally different. Rare is out there. They're saying what's going to come. They're saying there is stuff to come. They're going to have videos on the regular about what's coming, and I value that.
There's another thing too about this, that you're not just playing a game, you're not just spending $60 on a pirate game. You're investing in a company that cares about its players, because I couldn't tell you how many Easter eggs from the alpha and the beta players that Rare has put into this game. And shout out to Jordy Tommy, aka the Xbox Pope, and Xbox Addict, because Rare even put them immortalized in the game. Rare cares about you guys playing the game, and they care about your feedback, and they love their players, and they immortalize some of these players in the game. And any one of us could eventually be immortalized in this game in some way, shape, or form.
Yep. I mean, I've met Craig Duncan in person. I'm not trying to like brag about it, but I've met him a couple times. Had the pleasure of talking to him, and you can tell this guy is in it for the community aspect, is in it for the game being a place where people join together. I mean, fuck, in his little press release, if you want to call it, the other day on Xbox News, on news.xbox.com, one of the first things he talks about, and he spends a whole paragraph on it essentially, is the number of people who've made friends on Xbox as a result of Sea of Thieves. It's like 100,000 people or some shit who made friends on Sea of Thieves within 9 days, who've added each other that didn't know each other. And that's a big deal. Like, that's exactly what they want to happen. And that's exactly what we want to happen. And, we've met up with people, we've played with people. I've added a few people that I've played with on Sea of Thieves, and that's exactly what they want. And that's exactly what they care about. It's not just about the money. You know what I mean? It's not just about the money.
Well, if it was about the money, they would have probably added a shit ton of microtransactions at the start.
Right.
Not wait 3 months.
Right.
Yeah, they would have followed Call of Duty's formula. And there's something I want Assassin to speak about, because he actually spent some time looking this up. And there's parts in the game, and that you can tell content's coming. And Assassin actually looked further into this. But Assassin, go ahead and elaborate on the stuff on the outpost, like the hints that are being dropped.
So I wanted to actually see what the people said, at the outpost, the merchant lady, the gold person, Now the merchant lady, like, I forget where this was. Like, a lot of the quotes are so different between outposts. But someone was like, "Can you hunt and capture the kraken and the sharks?" And they're like, "No, that I'm going to talk to was it like my superiors." So I mean, that could like lead to things down the line, because that I think hunting some sharks, or instead of like killing the kraken, capturing it in some way, shape, or form, I think would be pretty cool. I have like kind of like what Black Flag had, where you had those missions where you could hunt sharks and whales. Like, I think that would be pretty solid. And the other stuff I totally forgot, because it's been almost a week.
The treasure
Like
of
4
one of
days.
the outposts.
Oh yeah, a bunch of people have, I've heard a bunch of people talk about it, but I forget the island. But there's like treasure hidden on an outpost. You have to find it. No one knows where it is. Everyone's digging it up. Who knows if it's even there? But it's supposedly it's there. So I mean, everyone should come together and just dig up the entire outpost.
Nice. Oh
Because
man,
I
that'd be
mean,
cool.
the outpost is huge. Like, it's not just like the one in like the north where it's just flat. Like, it's like built into a mountain. A bunch of stories that to go through. Different parts. The mountain split off, and under buildings, on top of buildings. It's a mess to find.
Yeah. And like, I like what you said about the thing about capturing like sharks and stuff, because that kind of framework is already there with like the pigs and the chickens. That I feel like that would be something that's kind of the next step and would be cool to add in, that people would go for, and you'd see more people like stopping in the middle of the ocean. And um like I think that's coming. I really do. I think that's on the horizon. And you know, it sucks that it wasn't here now. Like, it sucks to think about all this and know that there are gonna be a lot of people that don't play the game because it's bare right now in unique like different content, that don't want to just grind the same old stuff. um it sucks that that they're going to lose out on a lot of that fandom because it's not there now. If they had it there at the start by some way, shape, or form, like if they were helped by another studio, because I don't think Rare has the capacity to have done all of this in such a short amount of time. If they were helped and they had all that content and they had storyboard writers and all that, like, I think this game would have been like one of the most successful games, first party games of the generation, like PlayStation, Switch, PS4, Switch, or Xbox One. I think it would have been like the sales would have been close to like 4 million if that were the case. Like, I think it saw a huge hit because of all the negative press about the content, whatever. I think a lot of people were waiting and they saw that impression and they just didn't try. They didn't even want to try it out, even if they had a Games Pass free trial, which sucks. But I do hope it comes, and I hope people see that and then they try it. Maybe they get buy it on sale, or get Games Pass, and then players kind of fluctuate up and down a little bit, but it stays kind of steady at a high mark, and it's a big success for Rare.
Yep.
Anyway, all right, I'm sure we'll talk about Sea of Thieves again in the future. This is a game that is going to like constantly persist, so I'm sure we'll talk about it on another podcast. But the other news this week, Far Cry 5 came out, and I haven't played much of any of it, but I do know a decent amount of what it's about and how it's changed a little bit from prior Far Cries. And to be honest with you, mechanics wise, I'm looking forward to playing it. I am definitely going to get it this weekend. I am looking forward to playing it for the change mechanics, the challenge system for upgrades, the change from XP to money to buy upgrades. I'm looking forward to all that. I'm looking forward to the open world. I'm looking forward to the visuals of the game because I think it looks pretty good. I know there has been a lot of talk about some of the lighting effects being distracting, some of the lighting effects being over elaborate, if you will. I know there's been a lot of talk of that, But I'm excited. I want to see it for myself. The story, man, I don't really know, and we'll get into this in a second with these guys. But the story, I'm not too crazy about from what I've seen so far. I mean, is it established well, like the way it's presented? Maybe, probably. From what I've heard, a lot of people are liking it. But the story overall, take it or leave it for me right now. But I know Assassin and Clowns have been putting some time into it. So, Assassin, you want to tell us what you think so far?
So the place I am right now, I'm not going to spoil anything. I technically, in quotes, beat the game. It has like a Far Cry 4 had it where you do something in the first 10 minutes, you can beat it. I did that just to see. But I'm actually past the tutorial island where it just kind of opens up for you to go. Right, it's for right now. I wish the cult was a little bit more crazier. Like I like not every cult needs to be crazy, but for a video game's sake, I like them to be crazy, in a way, and that I don't see that really. The beginning of the game has Wildlands feel to it, where they're in a helicopter, they land, and whatever. I'm not too big fan of that. I also don't like the fact that they kind of copied Wildlands and they had sections of the map for specific people. I didn't like that in Wildlands. I'm not gonna like it in Far Cry. But it has that Far Cry feel to it if you played, 3, 4, and Primal, which is fine. I'm not a huge fan of the fighting mechanics. It seems a little weird to me. But other than that, I mean, the game so far feels fine. I mean, it's a typical Ubisoft game, open world. So hopefully it's not full of clutter and other crap that Ubisoft just loves to jam in their games.
Yeah.
With terrible, terrible side missions.
Yeah, I'm really hoping the side missions are something that are, worthwhile to the story and not just like fetch shit or like random offshoots just to like make the map look like it has a lot of stuff on it, But go ahead. Go ahead, Assassin, go ahead.
On a positive note, they actually have colorblind options, which is really weird for Ubisoft.
Wow, congratulations, man.
They're very terrible options. You can change the icon from red to yellow, which doesn't help because a lot of it's yellowish and it's weird. But then on the other hand, when you rescue like a hostage or a guy has to talk to you, the icon blends in with the game. So at least I cannot see it unless if I'm looking, like if their back is to me, it'll have like an icon with an arrow pointing like to the left. Like I'll see that, I'll move left and like it's gone. So I have to play that game where you have to move left, so far left to see the icon, and you have to move so far right, and then have like, okay, it's somewhere in between there, but I can't see the person. So you have to play the game where you move a little bit more to the left, not as far as before, and then to the right, and it's just like, stop, please. And then I ran into a bug. I found a trader. I went to the close option, and then like there was supposed to be like a big menu, but like there was like the bottom half was like frozen behind the first half, but the first half's transparent, so it's like everything's blending in, and you can't read what's what, and you're trying to select something, and it's not selecting because it's behind it, but it's supposed to be below it, and it's really weird. I think I recorded something out of that.
Yeah, I'd have to see that recording. That sounds pretty ridiculous. I haven't really seen too much about bugs, but man, I mean that would be frustrating. That would definitely be frustrating.
And then a little bit on the story, like Clowns is probably gonna get right into this. He's gonna have his like speech or whatever he wants to say, but part of this I'm gonna like agree with him. Like not too much, but like the cops, like I would have brought more backup. I'm sorry, like I want to go to something like this and bring a few people And on the other hand, when you're left on your own, I would do my job, because if you're a cop, you're going to get a bunch of shit for taking a bunch of people down, and you're not doing your job right. Like, I don't know. It's just, I'd rather have them change the story a little bit. And kind of like what Far Cry 3 was, these guys were on a vacation and they got stuck into this. Like, these cops are, they live in this general area or whatever. Like, they could leave, but
right.
they rather go against the law when that's their job. But.
Right. All right, Clowns. I don't know if Clowns is there. I think he's muted and had to do something really quick. But yeah, Far Cry 5 story, I don't know enough about the complete story. Like, I know the basic setup. I know that you got the one leader and then the three separate leaders that you go after. And I think that's cool, but the cult thing really isn't doing it for me necessarily. Maybe when I play it, it will do it for me a little bit more. But right now, if I would just look at it at face value, I'm not playing it to be like, oh, I want to be totally immersed in the story. I'm playing it because I think they've improved a little bit on the formula to a point. From what I've seen, at least. I mean, granted, I haven't played it, but from what I've seen, I think they've improved on the formula enough for me to want to play it, to have the good shooting mechanics, to have the good advancement system, not XP based, more money based, all the challenges, getting kills with C4, getting kills with bow and arrow, getting kills with AR,
terrible.
It forces you to do so many different things. No, I like that, man. You don't like that?
No. What's next? Dynamite fishing with Billy Bob?
Yeah. With Billy Bob.
No, I just, man, to me, Wildlands was way better. I like the narco mafia style stories. I think the cult story is kind of weak. And I know you guys were talking a little bit about the game and my dogs were barking, so I couldn't jump on the mic. But
no problem.
I want to say, the way this game opens up for me, it destroys my view of Ubisoft. I think that they picked a stereotype to make a political statement about America. And I think they were too chicken crap to do anything like a story on the mob in Sicily or infiltrating the IRA in Ireland. So they picked American cults and then they exaggerated it and started it out really weak, because if you're going to go into a cult compound and you're the United States government, what are you going to send in? 5 law enforcement officers and there's 500 guys armed to the teeth? No, look at Waco, Texas, man. They sent in the FBI and they just blew buildings up. They didn't care.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, they could have sent in a whole military in this game and had a face-off in the beginning, and then, something exciting could have happened, like a landslide in a mountain with dynamite or something crazy, and you're one of the last guys left. No, it's just, Mr. Father, please, put these handcuffs on you and walk out with us now. Come on.
Yeah,
and I'm saying this because Ubisoft is a French company, and I think they just don't have the balls to do anything else.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a controversial storyline. I have heard from a lot of people that it does start off really, really slow. It's kind of tough to get into. A lot of people do like the opening because of how cinematic, I guess it is, from what I've heard. I mean, I haven't played it yet, but I'm going to play it. But it's like you're in Montana and you're part of an American cult. And are these American cults really what they portray them to be? Probably not. And if you want, it's almost like if you want them to overdo it, they might as well just really overdo it. Assassin, what Assassin's saying. I kind of agree with that. It's you want them to, Assassin wants them to be a little crazier. You kind of want them to go that route, but it's not. I don't think it's necessarily an accurate representation. I think a lot of people are kind of railing on them for that a little bit. But in regards to them being chicken shit about doing stuff about the mob, I mean, not that I blame them, but I mean that you're probably right on that. You're probably right that they wouldn't want to.
But I mean, come on, tell me if they didn't do a story about the IRA, how cool that would be, a Far Cry story. something like that. I mean, you see Italian American movie directors do movies on the IRA or the Irish mob, right? So
Right.
why can't a French big studio like Ubisoft do something cool like that? You know, I just think they picked a stereotype they knew that couldn't come back at them, because cultists probably would not view themselves as a cult if they played this game anyway.
Right.
So maybe next is Amish country, you know, because Amish people usually don't use electronics. So
Right.
maybe
So they're not gonna see it anyway. Yeah.
so maybe they'll pick on them next. And then don't even get me started on the fact that there's these cultists billboards or chapels with the bliss drug hanging out in Montana. Like, you know, I'm sorry to say this, but a lot of corporations owned the land that billboard signs are on, or where people put stuff like that. So you think a cult is going to call up, like, let's say Clear Channel Radio, and be like, hey, we want to put a a Project Eden billboard up on one of your billboard signs. Yeah, we'll give you, like, I don't know, like 10,000-15,000 for the week or something. You think Clear Channel is going to be okay with religious propaganda just popping up that could be considered cultist?
You have cultists infiltrate, like you kind of saw it, like, not trying to give it away, but like you saw it, they infiltrated like the cops, like, not to say too much, but you heard something like the first 10 minutes, they could do that.
Well, I mean, I get what you're saying, Assassin. Like, the local sheriff's office is one thing, but when you're talking like big corporations that probably have like 6 to 7 guys that might have to review the stuff that goes up on these signs or up on this land, and they're corporate executives that only care about money and the reputation of their company, and if something can ruin the reputation of the company or make it look unclean, they're definitely going to say no, and they're not going to allow any type of drugs on their land as well that would just seep into the air.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the story is definitely unrealistic. Maybe the portrayal of a story, like the progression of the story, is realistic. I know a lot of people that like the way the story was told. And I know a lot of reviewers that have actually, and you can look on Metacritic if you want. Some of the big outlets that gave it lower reviews, right in their punchline of the review, said, that the story is like almost uncomfortable because it's like kind of unrealistic, and the way it portrays like what Clowns was just getting to, like, that stuff is kind of unrealistic. And it's this cult isn't gonna like come after Ubisoft, so they're kind of protected. And like you said, Clowns, like, if they did it on the Irish mob, the Irish mob would probably find their way to France, or find their way into to Ubisoft to get at them for an inaccurate portrayal.
And this is where I want to say a big shout out to 2K Publishing, because they just didn't give a crap, and they made epic games with epic storylines. Even though I didn't like Mafia 3 all that much, I mean, they really touched a really ballsy political statement. Mm-hmm. And I got to give them credit for that, because Ubisoft does not have that capability. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, I feel like this is a reskin 4 with Wildlands mechanics. And I like the Wildlands story a lot better because it was about narco traffickers. I was thinking, like, maybe, Ubisoft's going to touch on something big, and these, especially with the narco traffickers, like, that's kind of ballsy from the way I look at it, right? Because they can go further with that story if they wanted to. But they kept that so fictional that they lost a little bit of credibility with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, fair enough. It's almost like you have to, and for people that like actually live in this scenario, like, obviously these people in these cults are probably not going to play this game, but you kind of have to take it for like face value for what it's worth. I mean, it's for a lot of people, it's a sensitive subject, and it's not, as it's portrayed, is not very accurate, not very believable necessarily. And for some people, that's like really annoying and game breaking and worth docking a few points in a review. And I've yet to play it, so I don't know if it is for me. But for for a lot of people, it's it's kind of a bummer. But
I think, I think from the way that I'm looking at it and the way that you might be relating to it is from the American perspective, right? Because
Yeah.
I think that a lot of these foreign countries that watch TV documentaries on American cults may be fascinated with what has happened in America with like Jonestown and Waco, Texas, and they just create this fictional storyline in their heads without realizing the U.S. government is pretty brush when these groups get kind of big, and they stop them. And I think Ubisoft, being a French company, kind of ran off with their fictional ideals in their head, and this is what happened.
and it's not even like I want my games to be accurate, but it's like it's almost like if a game made if a company made a game about Italians, right, and inaccurately portrayed them in a way that was like almost insulting or whatever, like I'd be upset about that, even though I knew it was fictional.
Yeah.
And this is a worldwide release, and people are getting this kind of impression about Americans and American cults, and it's like, yeah, cults are kind of wacky just in general. Like, not to be too insulting, but it's true. But like, I don't know. It's the way it may have been approached is maybe a little far fetched, but I mean, I've yet to see.
I mean, I agree with you, Merc, a little bit in the chat. I think Ubisoft is making hit after hit, and I can't deny that, right? Because Rainbow Six Siege is a huge hit. But they just don't have, to me, they don't have, the cajones to go into like a real kind of storyline in my book. Like, they just keep everything so far-fetched fictional, and it kind of irks my nerve a little bit, where 2K will make the effort to try and make it realistically and politically more accurate. And I give 2K a lot of credit for that kind of stuff. Because it's not easy to try and follow a what do you call that? Like an accurate path, in a fictional story, but they do it. And Ubisoft is just so far away on this one. And one other thing in front of me before you talk, or Assassin talks, that I want to go ahead and speak is that one thing that really bothers me in Far Cry 5 is that everybody looks the same with just different color shirts. Like, all the guys usually have beards or long hair. All the women look the same. And I passed the tutorial island ran, so you can't say that I didn't. And yeah, I mean, to me, they just, why? You think everybody in Montana looks the same, Ubisoft? That's kind of stereotypical, buddy. That's what I would like to say to the producer face to face.
Yeah, it's, I don't know. Like, when I see that in game, and I'm gonna notice that now that you said that, I'm gonna really notice that. I'm gonna be like, fuck, Clown just put this in my head. But that is like kind of an annoying thing when you have such a fast open world and they're gonna all look the same like that. That's kind of annoying. Big D says the story, the gameplay, everything about Far Cry is good. And like, if you like it, that's cool. Like, I would like people to like pretty much everything they play, And then he says, do you not read fiction? No, actually, I do not read fiction, but that's just me. Like, I'm not going to not like it because it is fiction, but the angle that Ubisoft is kind of been advertising this entire time is that it was going to be accurate. So,
like, if Ubisoft ever listens to this episode, or anybody from Ubisoft ever listens, do something on Whitey Bulger. Do something like on John Gotti. Do something like on Carlo Gambino, Vito Genovese, Carmine Galante. Do something like along a storyline that is kind of gutsy and kind of cool at the same time, because it's part of real history. The whole thing doesn't have to be factual, of course, because you're going to follow a fictional line, but at least make it a little bit accurate. And don't make everybody look the same, because that's not how the real world works.
Yeah. I mean, that in that case, like, that part of it, I would be pissed about. Like, when I play the game and I see that, I'm not gonna be happy about that. I would definitely dock for that. But as I get further in the story, I mean, if it's like portrayed well, I'll have less of a problem with it. If it's not portrayed well, then I mean, yeah, I would dock it a few points just for how it's, for them getting on a topic like this, saying that they're going to be serious, and then it's not. It's like overly fictional. I don't know. It's gotta be. I hate when like even movies. Like I hate when movies are like totally unbelievable when something happens and it's just so unbelievable that you're just sitting there and you're like, man, that was so fake, or man, that's so ridiculous, you know? And like obviously people fighting dragons, like I play games like that, and obviously that's not realistic, but it's not supposed to be, you know, it's not supposed to be like it's not like based on real life. Whereas like this kind of game has that kind of tone, and that may get to me or may not. I'm not sure. I gotta play it, but at this point, like it's definitely a question in my mind after seeing what I've seen.
There's another thing too, and this just is probably a Far Cry thing in general. And I know I love Bethesda and the Fallout games do this too. So, but it bothers me in a Far Cry universe that's supposed to be kind of more a little bit set to reality. It's like you free something, and then there's a guy that just stands there annoyingly looking at you. It's like, hey, hi, hey, hi, hey, hit X to talk, hit X to talk, hey, hi, oh yes, hi. Then you hit X
be your friend.
and then you hit X to talk, and then it's something like really stupid, like I had a dog, and the cult was gonna take my dog, so I set him free, and he's out there some salmon from the pond. Your hand and come back. Get real, people. Come on. It's not very likely you're gonna find one missing dog in the whole county of Hope. It's just that stuff kind of irks me a little bit. It just it bothers me.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. It's fair criticism. Assassin, what do you have anything to say about this before we kind of move off on this? I mean, we'll get back on this in a later podcast when we've played more of it, but you have any other first impressions really quick?
No. Okay,
love you. Thanks. All right, really quick, two quick topics here. So this is three quick topics actually, but this one's gonna be really quick. Apparently, it has been debunked by Microsoft people, Aaron Greenberg, Mike Ibarra, that there is going to be a change in policy for swearing on Skype and on Xbox. So there was a big hullabaloo about you potentially getting banned, getting your purchases locked out, essentially, if you get banned off Xbox for like swearing excessively. Now I guess there is a clause already in the terms of service that they do have the ability to do that, but it would have to be absolutely ridiculous. Now people were trying to say that if you swear at all, you're going to get banned, which is not true. They've addressed that and they said there's no change in the terms of service, so don't worry about that kind of thing. So did you guys think this was even real in the first place when you saw the reports?
Back in like 2013, wasn't this brought up again?
Yep. Yeah.
So someone just wanting to make some negative news. I don't know. But, I mean, I didn't think it was real. But I didn't pay attention. So.
There is, I mean, from Xbox perspective, they're denying that they're going to do this, right? Mm-hmm. But there is some truth to some of these, the way that some of these, and it's more of a cover your ass approach for companies, because we're all going into the digital age and every company is basically a service, like Facebook, Twitter, and all of them. So let's say that they were subpoenaed by the federal government or they were subpoenaed in a court case. They have to have records of all this stuff. So yes, they can go through your stuff. And yes, if they were ever subpoenaed in something toxic, I'm sure their lawyers will probably go through your history and be like, oh, this person's he's a very bad person, uses a lot of curse words, threatens a lot of people. We need to just ban him off our service. So I think it's there for that. What I think people are taking out of context is the fact that everybody thinks, oh, if you get a terms of service violation or suspended, they're going to go through your whole history, and anything that you curse, they're going to pull up and they're going to look through your account and see every single thing you do. And I think that's where Mike Ibarra and Greenberg are kind of cutting the line and saying, no, Xbox is not going to do anything different. We're going to still follow everything that we've already done in the past, same terms of service. And it's people just got to realize it's a cover your ass approach because of the age that we're in. And especially everything that happened with Facebook. If you read the fine print in the Windows Insiders distribution when you sign up for it, I mean, they can have the right, and they do have the right to monitor your keystrokes, record what you say to Katana or Cortana, I should say. Sorry, Assassin, I hurt your girlfriend.
What?
You know, and they can report you. It says that in their terms of service.
Yeah, but that's always, that's always been there. And I feel like
Yeah.
people have just been bringing that up. The people have just been bringing that up recently just to like start some shit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know where this rumor started that this thing was coming back or this thing was getting more stringent. And like, if you swore at all, you're getting banned. And people are pissed about that because, people don't want to get banned and lose all their purchases, Clowns, I know you know that kind of personally. But people don't want to lose all their shit, man. They don't want to, and that scares people because they can just do that. Like you kind of alluded to, Clowns. This is just like a rental of their service. Like you're just a member of their service. You don't own anything, and it says that in the terms of service. People don't want to lose any of that. So,
Ye Old Goblin Demon on Twitter, shout out to him. He actually said, and he's a dev and stuff, but he said that this is in response, the updated terms of service, the write-in of it anyway, is in response to congressional bills that are being passed. So I don't doubt that the terms of service may say this stuff, and it might be legal jargon that they have to put out in front. And I will say this too, at least Xbox and Microsoft are upfront about it, everything in the terms of service, and they honestly answer their questions. They even went to court to fight for users' rights to privacy in the past against unwarranted searches in the cloud. And European nations now can share data in the cloud with the United States government, regardless if you're an American citizen or not. If it's in a foreign server, they go by European law. So a lot of stuff has to be changed because we're in an international world where in some territories there's unwarrantless searches. But Xbox is not going to particularly target you and be like, oh, you cursed once on Xbox Live? Man, we're going to go through your history. Everything you have is gone. Oh, yeah, your Outlook files, we see those too. Oh, your Skype, yeah, we see that too. You know what I mean? It's just taken out of context. But again, Microsoft's up front, Xbox is up front. Whereas in the past, and I will say this, after GeoHot exploited the PS3 vulnerability that a Russian hacker made, Sony was actually sued in a class action lawsuit for the PS3 rootkits after the exploits. They wanted to see everything that was going on the PS3. So right. I mean, Microsoft and Xbox again up front, other companies not so up front.
Right. Yeah. And so I mean, people think this is like some sort of isolated issue, like this doesn't occur anywhere else. Like you're in some sort of delusional land, It's like, I mean, it's happening for Facebook right now. It's happening at a bunch of other levels. Like sooner or later, like everyone's gonna just acknowledge that, or gonna be forced to acknowledge that they have access to stuff that you don't think they should have access to, and they can do whatever they want if you rent service from them. And that's just where Microsoft is at, and maybe they are getting punished for being transparent, But Assassin, how's this affecting you, bud? You don't really give a shit, do you?
Not really.
Yep. And you know what? It's true. Like you really shouldn't. I mean, this is like such, it's not fake news, but like it was such a hoax, man. Like I can't believe they took a PR hit a little bit for something that is not even accurate or remotely accurate. To have, to think that people are going to lose their purchases because they swear is just ridiculous. But anyway, moving on. No Man's Sky coming to Xbox with a huge update. It's called No Man's Sky Next, I guess. And all of a sudden, people that hated No Man's Sky are loving it. And that kind of rubs me the wrong way a bit. Me personally, not going to play it. Probably not going to buy it. Maybe I'll buy it a little bit down the road, but as of right now, definitely not going to buy it. Because it's still not interesting to me. Just because it's coming to Xbox doesn't mean I'm interested. And all these people are bashing it because it was on PlayStation, and some people are jealous maybe of a game where you don't meet anyone or you don't really do too many things. But what do you guys think? No Man's Sky, you guys going to be into it now, or what's the deal? Well, were you interested from the get go? Like, were you guys interested? I think you guys were kind of interested from the get go. No.
I was kind of interested. I think it was at the time where I actually sold my PS4, but like I go look at the tweets when I first came out. I said I was kind of interested, even after hearing it. But like, I think that what was the big downer of it was obviously it was an exclusive, but the guy went on all these talk shows and stuff and just like lied to our faces. I think that's what ruined the game. Like, I still kind of want to play it, but like knowing that this guy like just straight up lied to us is just, I don't know. Like, I don't want to spend money on it just because of that reason. But I'm still interested in like checking it out. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there are people like you and like Clowns and a few other people I know that did have interest in it and were let down because of the lying and because it didn't live up to what they said it was going to, and because of straight up lies, not just because it didn't live up to expectations, because they just straight up lied, and it's like you get lied to by someone, you're gonna write them off a little bit. So it's for the real diehard people, like they're not gonna, for the people that did want to enjoy it, they're not gonna come back. So the people that are like kind of interested now, I feel, are just people that were hating from the get go, and just because it wasn't on Xbox, and now all of a sudden they're they're interested. It's kind of phony a little bit, but
from my perspective, I was always interested in this game, and I felt let down and misled when the multiplayer was never coming, when certain things were never fixed on time. And then I felt more misled when he made his account private and tweets went off from his company account where that was a disgruntled employee. It was almost like somebody went crazy at the company after all the backlash and the refunds from Sony. But what I will say is this. I think there's the whole promise of this game. I think that if he wasn't successful in some way, he wouldn't be around today, right? So people in the industry obviously must give this guy a little bit of credit. And not only that, he is making the effort to make a comeback, and he's back on Twitter. The company's still talking. And I love the Joe Danger game. So I'm going to give this guy a chance, and I'm going to say this guy has some balls. And I got to give him credit for that, because in the face of adversity, he disappeared and he came back full force, and he is working on this game. And you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. I just hope it's not a full $60 price tag. I think that would be disappointing. I think at this point he should just drop it to 30.
Yeah, I agree. Almost like I'm sorry I lied. I did, I really was dedicated to this game. It's been 2 years, but I'm working on this, and this, and this, and it's a huge update, and it's going to be a completely different experience. And now I want everybody to enjoy it. And I was short-sighted, and I wanted to come out on the strongest platform, and maybe Sony sweetened the deal a little bit, and it got out of hand, and I'm sorry. And here it is for $30, and now it's what it should have been. That in that case, it'd be a different story, but. I don't know. I haven't seen like any remorse really from this guy,
Well, another thing too to think about, we don't know the real story went on inside their company, right? So we don't know if maybe he hired an expert in multiplayer, and then this guy promised them, "Hey, we're going to make a great multiplayer aspect to this," and maybe that's why he came out and said, "Hey, I'm going to add multiplayer," because maybe he thought in his head he hired a professional or something like that. I always give people the benefit of the doubt, and maybe somebody at the company misled him, which caused him to mislead everybody else.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you never know, and that stuff's probably never going to come out. But it's like now is the chance for them to save face with everyone, not only just Xbox people, but with PlayStation people, and with PC people. Like they, that was like the butt of all jokes for a year, No Man's Sky, and now they're going to come out with this version, and people are like, wow, half the people are like, oh, I'm excited. Now it's finally Xbox. And the other half the people are like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, why does this guy think that this is a good idea after people shat all over this game? So it's going to be a big risk. And I think this guy needs to, even though it may not be his fault and we don't know the inside story, Clouds, I think this guy has to kind of come out and like kind of take the fall for it.
Yeah, and I think he has been taking the fall for it. I mean, he's had, massive articles written about him in a negative aspect, and maybe at the time he did deserve it.
Yeah.
But I do believe that generally people are good and people make comebacks and people can change. And maybe this guy just saw the light as a developer and is making his comeback around. He's still got support, obviously, from the industry. Otherwise, Xbox wouldn't allow it on the platform, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, who knows what the game is going to be? Who knows what what the improvements are going to be? They haven't released any information about that. And I would definitely give the guy a second chance if this game is what they promised to be and then more, because then I'd be interested. But as I know No Man's Sky right now, I have zero interest in the game. Like they definitely have to add multiplayer, like a real multiplayer. They definitely have to add a real legitimate system where going and exploring these planets does something. I mean, even we were talking about Sea of Thieves earlier. At least in Sea of Thieves, like there's lore behind going to get the stuff. There's like riddles. There's earning money. There's earning, progression that means something to you. At least it may not mean something to everyone, but it means something to everyone. It doesn't mean something to everyone necessarily. Like people can't just walk up to you and see your rank. In No Man's Sky, you literally feel alone in that game as it is right now. Like you feel so alone in that game, and that's not the kind of experience I want out of a game like that. So, but anyway, that's No Man's Sky, and then really quick, just to end the show, because we've talked a lot about Sea of Thieves and Far Cry. Good conversation, but we talked a shit ton about those. So games of gold this month are, what do we got? We got The Witness, and we have Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which those two games are phenomenal. Syndicate is, the second to last Assassin's Creed game. If you haven't played it, you probably should. The game is very good. They took a year off from Unity to make that game, and Syndicate ended up being really good. The Witness, I have that on PlayStation. That game is excellent. Great puzzle game, really unique art style, really challenging puzzles toward the end, and I think it's kind of relatable to everyone. So, I think those two games are good. The games of gold on the 360 games, like Cars 2, not gonna play that, but that has value for families for sure. And Dead Space, what is it? Dead Space 2 or 3? I can't remember.
2.
Dead Space 2. I mean, yeah, that has value. I mean, everyone, a lot of people, I don't want to say everyone because it's not true. A lot of people that have played Dead Space really like it, and a lot of people have been wanting another Dead Space game. And it has value, but I already have access to that on EA Origins, whatever it is, not EA Access, but the Origins one, Origins Access. So, yeah. But what do you think? What do you guys think about the games of gold?
Better than the crap we've been getting for the past 3 months. That's definitely for sure. But other than that, I mean, Cars 2, I feel is like so out of place. Like we get good Xbox One games, and we get Dead Space 2, and then it's like Cars.
Right.
Like, thank you. I guess. I don't know.
It could be good. Who knows?
I believe the first Cars game, and I don't remember it being good. But
okay, then it may be trash. Nice.
But I mean, it could surprise us and be like the best game ever out of all of them. I doubt it, but it could.
Mm-hmm.
But
the Xbox One games are excellent.
Witness, Witness, I don't know much about, but I'll be happy to actually play this one compared to the other offerings we've had.
Right.
That's go ahead.
I was gonna say I think you'll like The Witness. I mean, I don't know about the colorblind options. Maybe that's gonna be a problem because there are a lot of color puzzles involved. But
oh god,
yeah,
that's gonna like ruin the game.
Well,
if there's no options.
Yeah, I think I don't know if there are. I haven't checked, but Clowns, what do you think? Games of Gold?
I think that it's really good because I don't have to pay for the witness now, so it's free.
There you go.
The developer was kind of rude on Twitter to some people in the past. And you know what? Cars 2? I'm going to try that. I want the achievements. I'm going to play that. Who wants to race?
I'll check it out. I'll download it and just give it a try. Why not? I mean, it's free. Who cares, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I think even with the joke that is Cars 3, I think, or Cars 2, is it Cars 2 or Cars 3? Cars 2, right? Cars 2. Even with the joke of Cars 2, like I think these games blow away PlayStation Plus this month, which is refreshing. Games of PlayStation Plus games rather. It blows away the PlayStation Plus games. Wow, I can't speak. So Trackmania Turbo, that game was given out like 6 months ago on Xbox, and no one played it.
The game was fucking awful.
Game is just not very good. I mean, in theory, you think it was good. Like this is any boy's like childhood dream is to have a game that lets you do this kind of stuff and create tracks and race like cars on essentially like toy tracks, if you will. But it's just not very good. It doesn't control well. I don't like the game. And Mad Max, like I didn't play that too much, but I know Assassin, you pretty much didn't like that game, right?
I 100% all the achievements except one because it was an absolute joke of a game, or not a game, an achievement. But yeah, it wasn't that great. Like, I think there was a point where it went to like recore, and you had to find and do certain things in order to progress the story, and that's just like I was fine up to then, and then I found that out, and it just go away.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, yeah, Mad Max, like that movie was pretty good. I thought the game would be like very solid, and then it's like almost all like movie games are like not very good, which sucks. But
well, see, you said the movie is good. I think the game is light years better than the movie.
No way.
God awful.
No way.
Oh my god,
dude! You like those women like
Teletubbies with Barney than watch Mad Max Fury shit. Like
Mad Max. Excuse me, what?
I'm lost.
I'm not following that at all.
Instead of Mad Max Fury Road, I'm calling it Mad Max Fury shit because it's shit. Just like I call Ghost Recon
shit about that somewhere on the internet.
Crazy.
I like Mad Max, man. Like I thought the game was great. I thought it was wide and open. I thought it was kind of cool, the stuff you had to do. Yeah, I did stop playing it because it felt kind of repetitive at times, but I thought for a game it was great effort, and I enjoyed it when I played it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I think compared to the games of gold, it's not very good. But I mean, I guess if you haven't played it, it's worth a try. I mean, it's definitely not like Trackmania Turbo where you just wouldn't try that because that game's not very good. But maybe it is worth a try. I don't know. Maybe I'm being very hard on it, but
it's not worth a try. It's one of those games like the past games of gold where you click install just to get it for free, and then you click uninstall because you don't want to waste your space on your hard drive.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I mean, it's very rare that the PlayStation Plus games lately get beat out by the games of gold, but I mean, this is actually, I think, one of the better months of games of gold in general. Like, not even considering the PlayStation Plus games. I think it, even if you didn't think about it beating PlayStation Plus so bad, I think it is one of the best games of gold months.
Nope.
But
better than getting Brave, and what else came out this month?
Oh, dude, I haven't downloaded Brave yet. I should get on my Xbox and do that.
I think that was the first half of the month.
Oh no, man, I missed out on Brave. Fuck.
Every time I download like one of the 360 games, Assassin's like, I canceled that crap.
Nice.
Because that's what it's been. It's just been crap. Like, I don't want that crap installed. I'm so picky on what I have installed. I still have like 2.2 terabytes left. And like I won't install games I won't play.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, hard drive space is valuable these days, and you know, Brave just doesn't make the cut. You know what I mean? Brave just does not make the cut. Anyway, all right. I think that's it for tonight. Kind of went longer than I thought, but the Far Cry and Sea of Thieves stock was pretty damn good. So definitely hit that like button if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to us on YouTube, 4Guys with Quarters. Of course, is our handle. Just search 4Guys with Quarters. You'll find us everywhere, except Twitter, where we're 4GwQPodcast. Otherwise, we're going to go back to playing Sea of Thieves. And then next week, hopefully my computer is straightened out. And we'll talk a little bit more Sea of Thieves, I'm sure, and some more about Far Cry and whatever else is going on. So we will see you guys next week. Peace.
Bye.